Hi, friends. So I heard there was some misunderstandings going on with our data today. Okay. So one of the things that I want to make sure that when you are looking at your data, so let me flip around. When you're looking at your data, some of misconceptions was, do I use my own group's data? Do I use the class data, group data, class data? When I refer to your group data, I guess what I was saying is, and I guess I meant all day data. When I meant group data, like what did you get for as a class? Because remember, the whole thing is it better just to take your own group's data? Is it better to use the average of the entire class of the day? Okay. Well, let me tell you, it's probably better to use the data from your class average. Okay. So if this is your class average, okay, class average. So remember that we have positive numbers and we have negative numbers. So I need you to remember one thing, okay? So remember that the calculation that was on the lab was kind of weird, and I kind of questioned it myself. So the initial question was, it was initial minus your final, right? Okay? So let's think about that for a second. Initial minus final. So if your initial, back a wee bit, if your initial was 30 and your final was, so did you get colder or hotter? Well, you got colder, right? Because if I go initial minus final, it was 4. Now, I know in our heads, okay, we think negative, we're thinking cold. It doesn't really matter if we're looking at positives or negatives. What we're looking at, friends, is the change on your surface as great as the change on the internal. Because remember, the whole idea is if the environment changes, does that change our internal? Well, when you look at our data, okay, or even our, so now let's talk about a really good number. Should you be putting on the average from all day? Well, yeah, look at, on our skin, it changed up to 8, but internally it only changed 1. So guess what? According to our data, which works the same as your class data, you know what? Your internal body temperature doesn't change. We're staying pretty consistent. Now, I know these are negatives, so remember that if I do initial minus final, right? Initial minus final, that means initial, I got warmer, right? Because I subtracted. Okay, so that means, so our surface did get a little warmer. Maybe it didn't get as warm because our warm temperature wasn't as extreme as our ice bath, maybe. But look at, our internal didn't change as much. I mean, look at the comparison of all your class. Now, which one is more accurate, your class data or an average from all day? Well, I would say your average from all day. So on your graph, you decide. It doesn't matter at this point to me. Did you graph either your group's data or did you graph your class, your hours data? And I hope you better have done all day data. So you decide if you did group or your hours data, but you should have graphed the all day data. Because if you're not looking at that, you really should. Because when you stop and think, that's almost somewhere between 30 to 40 sets of data. That's pretty good. Does that up our evaluation piece? Oh yeah, right? Okay, and then tonight, you're working on claim evidence reasoning. You need to have a rough draft coming in. Look at your rubric because tomorrow, 2 people are going to read over your CER and give you feedback before you fix and get it into me, okay? So by the time it makes it to me, I'm hoping to read super awesome CERs, okay? All right, take care, friends. Thanks.